Lee Hanna stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, watching the alien ships gather around Nexus Prime Station. At 28 years old, she was the youngest fleet commander in human history. The other officers called her a genius. The aliens called her dangerous. "Commander, we have visual on the Confederation fleets," said Navigation Officer Choi Minho from his station. His voice was calm, but Hanna could hear the worry underneath. She nodded and looked at the main screen. Ships from dozens of alien species floated in space around the massive diplomatic station. The elegant Valix vessels looked like floating crystals. The brutal Thorak warships were black and covered in spikes. The Keth Collective ships moved in perfect formation like a swarm of insects. "How many?" Hanna asked. 237 ships total, Minho replied. "We brought 12. Captain Park Jiho walked up beside her. He was her old teacher at the Fleet Academy, and now her second in command. "Hanna, something feels wrong about this meeting. Why did they ask for such a large escort?" She had been thinking the same thing. The Third Galactic Summit was supposed to be about trade agreements and border disputes, but the alien fleets looked ready for war, not peace talks. "Chief Engineer, Kim Sujin to bridge," came a voice over the communication system. "Go ahead, Sujin," Hanna said. "Commander, I'm picking up strange energy readings from the alien ships. Their weapons are powered up, but they're trying to hide it." Hanna felt her stomach drop. This was not a diplomatic meeting. This was a trap. "All ships, this is Commander Lee. Prepare for possible hostile action, but do not power weapons yet. I repeat, do not power weapons." She turned to her communication officer. "Lieutenant Oh Hyejin, open a channel to Nexus Prime." "Channel open, Commander." The main screen changed to show the interior of the diplomatic station. Alien representatives from across the galaxy sat in a great circle. At the center stood High Arbiter Velneth of the Valix, her crystalline body glowing with soft blue light. "Commander Lee Hanna of the human fleet," Velneth said in perfect English. "We have been waiting for you." "High Arbiter, I'm honored to represent humanity at this summit." Velneth's light flickered. "This is not a summit, Commander. This is a judgment." The other alien representatives began to speak all at once. Hanna heard accusations flying in dozens of languages. The translation system in her ear could barely keep up. "Humans expand too fast," growled Mortak, the Thorak Queen. "They take worlds that do not belong to them. They adapt too quickly," buzzed the Keth Collective speaker. "They learn our technology and make it better. They win battles they should lose," added a Novak diplomat. "They do not follow the rules of war." Hanna felt anger rising in her chest. "We have followed every Galactic Warfare Convention. Every treaty has been honored." High Arbiter Velneth raised a crystalline hand for silence. "The Confederation of Species has made a decision, Commander Lee. Humanity has become too dangerous to exist alongside the peaceful races of this galaxy." The words hit Hanna like a physical blow. "Too dangerous? We've been defending ourselves." "Yes," Velneth said coldly. "That is exactly the problem. A proper species knows when to surrender. Humans do not." On her tactical display, Lieutenant Oh Hyejin was frantically updating threat assessments. Every alien ship in the system was now showing as hostile. "Commander," Captain Park whispered urgently, "we need to get out of here. Now." But Hanna was staring at the alien representatives. She finally understood. This had never been about following rules or honoring treaties. The aliens were afraid that humans were getting stronger, afraid that humans might one day challenge their control of the galaxy. "You're not protecting peace," she said into the communication channel. "You're protecting your power." High Arbiter Velneth's light flared bright. "The judgment has been passed. All human military forces will surrender immediately for processing. All human colonies will be relocated to approved sectors." Hanna knew what processing meant. She knew what relocation meant. They were talking about the end of the human race. "And if we refuse," she asked, "then you will be removed by force." The communication channel went dead. Around Nexus Prime, the alien fleets began to move into attack formation. "All ships," Hanna said into her fleet communication system. This is Commander Lee. We are under attack. Repeat, we are under attack. All ships to battle stations. Alarms began ringing throughout the Defiance. Crew members ran to their positions. In the engine room, Kim Soo-jin was already pushing the reactors to full power. Commander, they're charging weapons. Oh Hye-jin reported from tactical. All ships, all directions. Hana looked around her bridge. 12 human ships against 237 alien vessels. Her crew was looking at her with trust and fear. They believed she could find a way out of this. She had always found a way, before, but this time felt different. This time the entire galaxy wanted humanity dead. Minho, plot a course out of the system, maximum speed. Which direction, Commander? She looked at the tactical display. Alien ships surrounded them on all sides. There was no safe direction. There was no easy escape. Through them, she said. Plot a course straight through the Thorak fleet. They won't expect us to charge their strongest ships. Captain Park looked at her with concern. Hana, that's suicide. No, she said firmly. Suicide is staying here and letting them capture us. At least this way we go down fighting. The first energy beams began to lance through space. Bright blue Valix crystals fired precise laser bursts. Thorak cannons sent massive plasma bolts, spinning toward the human ships. The Keith Collective launched swarms of small attack drones. All ships, follow the Defiance. Maximum acceleration. Return fire on all targets. The human fleet charged forward into the storm of alien weapons. The cruiser Hampton took a direct hit and exploded in a ball of flame. The destroyer Singh lost half its hull but kept fighting. Hull breach on Deck 7, reported Chief Engineer Kim from the engine room. Sealing emergency bulkheads. Casualties? Hana asked. 17 dead, 34 wounded, 17 people dead already, and the battle had just started. How many more would die before this was over? Commander, the escort carrier Incheon is requesting permission to launch fighters. Granted, all ships, launch all fighters. Small human fighters poured out of the carrier bays, racing toward the alien ships, like angry wasps. They were outnumbered 50-1, but they flew with desperate courage. The Defiance shook as another energy beam grazed its hull. On the main screen, Hana could see the massive Thorak battleship directly ahead of them. Ram it, she ordered. Commander, Minho asked in shock. No, fake ramming it. At the last second, dive underneath and fire all weapons into their engine section. It was a crazy plan. It shouldn't work. But the Thorax were expecting either a suicide run or a last-minute turn away. They weren't expecting a human ship to thread the needle between those two choices. The Defiance screamed toward the Thorak battleship at maximum speed. Energy beams and plasma bolts filled the space around them. At the last possible second, Minho pulled the ship into a sharp dive. Fire everything, Hana shouted. Lieutenant Oh Hye-jin's fingers danced over her weapons console. Every cannon, every missile, every piece of destructive power the Defiance carried poured into the Thorak battleship's engines. The alien ship exploded like a small star, but there were still hundreds of other ships, and now they were all very angry. Jump to hyperspace as soon as we clear their formation, Hana ordered. Where to, Commander? She looked at the star chart. Every human world was probably under attack now. Every fleet was fighting for its life. They had nowhere safe to go. Earth, she said finally. We're going home. The human fleet disappeared into hyperspace, leaving behind the wreckage of their first battle against the entire galaxy. Commander Lee Hana had won this fight, but she knew it was only the beginning. The Extinction War had begun. 3 days after the battle at Nexus Prime, Commander Lee Hana stood in the Situation Room aboard the Defiance. The human fleet had been running non-stop, jumping from system to system, trying to stay ahead of the alien pursuit. They had started with 12 ships. Now they had 8. Report, she said to her officers. Captain Park Ji-ho looked exhausted. The cruiser Melbourne took too much damage. Captain Kim had to abandon ship. We rescued most of the crew, but we lost our heaviest weapons. Platform. Lieutenant Oh Hye-jin spoke next. Communications from Earth stopped 6 hours ago. Last transmission reported enemy fleets in orbit. Hana felt like someone had punched her in the stomach. Earth, her home. Billions of people who were counting on the fleet to protect them. What about the other colonies? Communications Officer Yoon Daiho looked up from his station. Mars colony went dark 12 hours ago. New Seoul reported enemy bombardment before their transmission cut out. Jindo, station is still fighting, but they're surrounded. The news kept getting worse. Every human world was under attack. The aliens weren't just trying to defeat humanity's military. They were trying to wipe out every human man, woman, and child in the galaxy. Sir, Navigation Officer Choi Minho called out. Long-range sensors are picking up something. A lot of something. Show me. The main display changed to show a tactical map. Dozens of red dots were moving toward their position. More alien ships coming from 3 different directions. How did they find us so fast? Park asked. Chief Engineer Kim Soo-jin's voice came over the intercom. Commander, I think they're tracking us somehow. Every time we jump to a new system, they follow within hours. Hana studied the tactical display. The alien ships were moving in a pattern she recognized. They were herding the human fleet, forcing them toward something. It's a trap, she realized. They're pushing us toward the Kepler system. Why Kepler? Park asked. Because that's where Kepler Station is, our biggest supply depot. They want us to go there so they can destroy us and the station at the same time. Lieutenant Oh Hyejian spoke, up from her tactical station. Commander, I'm also detecting human ships near Kepler. Looks like fragments from other fleets. Hana felt a spark of hope. They weren't the only humans left fighting. Set course for Kepler Station, maximum speed. Commander, Park said quietly, you know it's a trap. Yes, but sometimes the best way to deal with a trap is to spring it yourself. The human fleet jumped to hyperspace once again. When they arrived at Kepler system, Hana saw both good news and bad news. The good news was that 36 other human ships were already there, gathered around the massive supply station. Ships from different fleets, different commands, all working together. The bad news was that over 300 alien ships were closing in on the station from all sides. All human vessels. This is Commander Lee Hana of the Defiance. I'm taking overall command of the defense. Commander Lee, came an excited voice over the radio. This is Captain Yu Sung-min of the carrier Gangnam. We've been waiting for you. Other voices joined in. Captains and commanders from across human space, all trapped in the same impossible situation. Status report, Hana ordered. Captain Yu's voice came back. We've got 44 ships total, including yours. The aliens have been surrounding us for the past day, but they haven't attacked yet. Why not? We think they're waiting for something. Maybe more ships, maybe orders. Hana studied the tactical display. The alien formation was interesting. They had arranged their ships in 3 groups, each one commanded by a different species. The crystalline Valix ships to the port side, the brutal Thorac fleet to starboard, the insect-like Keth collective vessels directly ahead. 3 different species, with 3 different fighting styles, if she could make them interfere with each other. All ships, listen carefully, were going to attack all 3 alien fleets at the same time. There was silence on the communication channel. Then Captain Park spoke up. Hana, we're outnumbered. 7-1. 8-1, actually, she corrected. But they're not fighting as one force. They're fighting as 3 separate forces that don't trust each other. She began outlining her plan. The human ships would split into 3 groups and attack each alien fleet simultaneously. The key was timing. If they hit hard and fast, they could make each alien species think the others weren't supporting them properly. The Valix are precise but slow to adapt, she explained. The Thorax are aggressive but undisciplined. The Keth work perfectly together, but can't handle chaos. We're going to give them more chaos than they can process. It was a desperate plan. Even if it worked, they would lose most of their ships. But if they did nothing, they would lose all of them. All ships move to attack positions. The human fleet spread out across the system. Captain Yu took 15 ships toward the Thorac fleet. Commander Nam Jiwoo led 12 ships toward the Keth collective. Hana kept 17 ships and headed straight for the Valix command group. Attack in 3, 2, 1. Execute. Space erupted in weapons fire. Human ships dove at the alien fleets from 3 different directions. Missiles and energy beams filled the darkness between the stars. The first part of the plan worked perfectly. Each alien species started fighting hard against the human attack, but they couldn't coordinate with each other because they were all under attack at the same time. Hana watched on her tactical display as a Thorak battleship accidentally fired on a Keth destroyer that got too close. The Keth ships immediately started firing back, thinking it was intentional. "It's working," Lieutenant Ohyejin reported. "The aliens are starting to shoot each other, but the humans were paying a terrible price." The destroyer Pusan exploded under Valek's fire. The cruiser Daegu lost all power and began drifting helplessly. "Commander," Captain Park said urgently, "we're losing too many ships. We need to retreat." Hana was about to agree when she saw something on the tactical display. The alien formations were starting to break apart. Ships were moving out of position, trying to avoid friendly fire from their own allies. "Not yet. Press the attack. All ships, focus on the command vessels." The human fighters were performing incredible feats. Pilot after pilot dove their small ships into the heart of alien formations, trading their lives to damage enemy capital ships. Lieutenant Ohyejin coordinated the Defiance's weapons with surgical precision. Every shot counted when you were outnumbered, so badly. In the engine room, Chief Engineer Kim Soo-jin was performing miracles. The ship's reactor was running at 120% capacity, far beyond safe levels, but she kept it stable through sheer will and expertise. The battle raged for 2 hours. When the weapons fire finally stopped, 18 human ships remained operational. Over 200 alien vessels were destroyed or disabled. But the victory had cost them everything. 26 human ships were gone. Thousands of crew members were dead. "Status report?" Hana asked wearily. "Kepler Station is secure," reported Captain Yu. "The surviving alien ships are retreating." "Casualties?" The silence stretched on for a long time before anyone answered. "We lost 8,000 people," Communications Officer Yoon Daiho said quietly. 8,000. Good people who had trusted her to keep them alive. People with families back on Earth. Earth which might not even exist anymore. "Commander," Park said gently, "we did what we had to do. We saved the station, we saved the supplies, and we proved that humans can beat aliens when we have to." She nodded, but it didn't make the guilt go away. "Sir," Lieutenant Ohyejin called out, "incoming transmission, it's from Earth." Everyone on the bridge held their breath as the message played. "All human vessels, this is Admiral Kang, broadcasting from what's left of Luna Base. Earth has fallen. The orbital platforms are destroyed. Most of the surface cities are gone. We're evacuating survivors to the outer colonies, but..." The transmission was filled with static. "The aliens are moving faster than expected. Mars colony is under siege. We estimate total human population at less than 2 billion and falling." 2 billion. Down from 8 billion just a week ago. Is there anyone else?" Hana asked into the communication system. "Any other fleets? Any other resistance?" The reply came back slowly, filled with sadness. "As far as we know, Commander Lee, you are the last operational fleet in human space. Everyone is looking to you now. The last fleet. The last hope." Hana looked around her bridge at the faces of her crew. Young faces, scared faces, but still determined, still ready to fight. "All ships," she said into the fleet communication system. "This is Commander Lee. We are not the last humans in the galaxy. We are the first humans of a new age, an age where we stop running and start fighting back." She paused, looking at the tactical display showing the vast alien fleet still hunting them. "They want to make us extinct because they're afraid of what we might become. I say we show them exactly what they should be afraid of." The human fleet began moving again, deeper, into space, carrying the hopes and dreams of a dying species on their shoulders. 6 months had passed since the Battle of Kepler Station. Commander Lee Hana walked through the corridors of the converted colony ship New Hope, one of 37 vessels that now made up the entire human resistance. The ship had been designed to carry families to new worlds. Now it carried refugees, wounded soldiers, and the fading hopes of humanity. Children who had lost their parents played in hallways that smelled of fear and recycled air. "Commander," Dr. Bae Kyung called out as she passed the medical bay. The chief medical officer looked exhausted. Everyone looked exhausted these days. "How are our people holding up, Doctor?" Dr. Bae closed the door behind her and spoke quietly. "Physically, we're managing, but mentally, Commander, people are starting to break. They whisper that we're just delaying the inevitable. Some are asking why we keep fighting when humanity is already dead." Hana felt the weight of those words. She had been asking herself the same question every night when she couldn't sleep. "How many worlds have we lost this week?" 7 confirmed. New Busan, Jindo Colony, Port Seoul. The aliens are being systematic. They're not just conquering human worlds anymore. They're sterilizing them. Sterilizing. Making sure no human life could ever return. Burning the cities, poisoning the water, killing everything that could support human life. "Commander, to the bridge," came the announcement over the ship's communication system. Hana made her way to the bridge of the Defiance, still the flagship of the human fleet. Navigation Officer Choi Minho looked up from his station with excitement. "Commander, we've found something. A hidden research station in the Vega system. It's broadcasting human identification codes." Hana felt a spark of hope. "How many people?" "Unknown. The station is small, maybe 50 people at most. But Commander, they've been studying the aliens. Their message says they have important information about enemy psychology. Set course for Vega system. Alert the fleet." 3 days later, the human ships arrived at the secret research station. It was hidden inside a large asteroid, invisible to most sensors. The kind of place scientists went when they wanted to study dangerous things in complete safety. Dr. Shin Yujung met them at the airlock. She was a xenobiologist, someone who studied alien life forms. Her research station had been working on understanding how different alien species thought and acted. "Commander Lee," Dr. Shin said as they shook hands, "I've been following your battles. Incredible work at Kepler Station." "Thank you, Doctor. What do you have for us?" Dr. Shin led them to her laboratory. The walls were covered with pictures, charts, and data about dozens of alien species. "I've been studying the psychology of Confederation species for 8 years," she explained. "And I've discovered something important. They're more afraid of humans than they're letting on." "Afraid of us? They're winning the war." "That's exactly why they're afraid." Dr. Shin pointed to a chart showing human military victories over the past 10 years. "Look at this pattern. Every time humans fight aliens, we learn something new. We adapt. We get better." Hana studied the chart. It was true. Human tactics had evolved rapidly since first contact with alien species. Most species take centuries to develop new military strategies. Dr. Shin continued. Humans do it in months. The Valaks have been using the same battle formations for 3,000 years. The Thorax haven't changed their weapons in 2,000 years. So why is that scary to them? Because it means we're unpredictable. Every battle makes human survivors more dangerous, not less. That's why they decided to wipe us out completely, instead of just conquering us. Dr. Shin led them to another section of the laboratory. Here the wall showed historical data about 3 other species that had once challenged Confederation power. The hegemony tried to unite the galaxy against the Confederation 800 years ago. They were completely destroyed. The Zarthak did the same thing 600 years ago, also completely destroyed. The Kethvon tried 400 years ago. You can guess what happened to them. All 3 species were eliminated? Not just eliminated, erased. No trace of their civilization remains. Their homeworlds were turned into dead rocks. Their colonies were burned. Even their language and culture were wiped out. Hana felt a chill run down her spine. That's what they're planning to do to us. Yes. But here's the interesting part. Dr. Shin pulled up more data. I've managed to recover some information about these extinct species. Do you know what they all had in common? They were too dangerous. They were all on the verge of major breakthroughs. New technology, new ways of thinking, new ideas that could have changed the entire galaxy. The Confederation didn't destroy them because they were dangerous. They destroyed them because they were about to make everyone else obsolete. The implications hit Hana like a hammer. The Confederation wasn't protecting the galaxy from dangerous species. They were preventing any species from growing strong enough to challenge their control. So, this has happened before, Captain Park said. He had been listening quietly, but now his face was grim. We're not the first species to face extinction for being too successful. No, but you might be the first to survive it. Before Hana could ask what she meant, alarms began ringing throughout the station. Commander, came Lieutenant O'Hiajan's voice over the radio. We have contacts, lots of contacts. The aliens found us. On the tactical display in Dr. Shin's laboratory, red dots were appearing all around the Vega system. Valek ships, Thorak battlecruisers, and Keth collective swarms. How many? Hana asked. Over 400 ships, came the reply. All three species working together. 400 ships against 37. The worst odds they had faced yet. Doctor, is there anything else you need from this station? Dr. Shin was already moving toward the computer terminals. Give me 10 minutes to download everything. The psychological profiles, the historical data, everything. You have 5. While Dr. Shin worked frantically to copy her research, Hana began planning their escape. The alien ships were surrounding the system, but they weren't attacking yet. They were taking their time, making sure no human vessel could escape. Commander, Sergeant Major Kang Minjae reported over the radio. We managed to capture a Keth collective scout ship last week. My boarding team has been studying it. What did you find? Something interesting. The Keth communicate with each other through quantum entanglement, instant communication across any distance. But, Commander, they're not just talking to each other. They're talking to the other alien species too. Hana felt pieces of a puzzle clicking together. They have a shared communication network. Yes. And if we can tap into it, we can hear everything they're planning. She turned to Dr. Shin. Doctor, do you have any data on Keth communication methods? Already downloading it, Dr. Shin replied without looking up from her terminal. The alien fleets were getting closer. Soon they would be in weapons range and the humans would have to run again. But this time, Hana wasn't thinking about running. She was thinking about something Dr. Shin had said, that humans might be the first species to survive extinction. All ships, she announced over the fleet communication system. This is Commander Lee. Prepare for emergency jump to hyperspace, but do not execute yet. Commander? Captain Park asked. We're not running this time, we're learning. She turned to Sergeant Major Kang. I want your best technical people working on that Keth communication system. I want to know everything the aliens are saying to each other. And then? Hana looked at the tactical display showing 400 alien ships closing in on their small fleet. Then we're going to show them exactly what they should be afraid of. They think we're dangerous now. They haven't seen anything yet. The alien ships opened fire, but the human fleet was already moving. Not running away this time, but dancing through the enemy formation like ghosts, striking at weak points and vanishing before the aliens could respond. For the first time in months, Commander Lee Hana was smiling. Dr. Shin's research had given her an idea. A crazy, impossible, suicidal idea that just might save the human race. All she had to do was convince her fleet to follow her on a mission into the heart of enemy space, where no human had ever gone before. The galactic core. The center of Confederation power. If they could reach it, if they could survive it, they might be able to change everything. But first, they had to escape from 400 very angry alien ships. Commander Lee Hana stood before the assembled captains of the human fleet in the main briefing room aboard the Defiance. 37 ships, 42,000 survivors, and one impossible plan. You want us to do what? Captain Yu Sungmin asked, staring at the star chart displayed on the main screen. Penetrate the galactic core, Hana repeated calmly. Strike at the Grand Assembly where all the Confederation species meet. The room erupted in voices, captains and commanders talking over each other, some in shock, others in anger. The galactic core is the most heavily defended region in space, Captain Park said. No one has ever successfully attacked it. No one has even tried. That's exactly why it might work, Hana replied. They won't expect us. Commander Nam Jiwoo from the destroyer Seoul spoke up. Commander, with respect, this isn't a military mission, it's suicide. Maybe. But staying here is definitely suicide. They have 1,000 ships hunting us now. We can't run forever. Doctor. Shin Yujung, who had joined them from the research station, stepped forward. Captains, if I may explain something. The psychological profiles I've developed show that the Confederation species are driven by fear of change. They've spent thousands of years creating a stable, predictable galaxy. And, if human ships suddenly appear in the galactic core, it will shatter their sense of security. It will prove that nowhere is safe if they continue this war. Major Lee. Dongyun, commander of the fleet's Marines, looked skeptical. So we're not trying to destroy the Grand Assembly? No, Hana said. We're trying to scare them. Show them that if they want to wipe out humanity, we can reach their most sacred places anytime we want. The room fell quiet as the captains considered this. It was a psychological attack, not a military one. How would we even get there? Asked Captain Kim from the supply ship Phoenix. The galactic core is protected by ancient defense systems. Ships that try to approach are destroyed automatically. I've been studying that, Chief Engineer Kim Soo-jin said from her position near the back of the room. During our battles, we've captured pieces of alien technology from different species. If we can combine them with human engineering, she brought up technical diagrams on the display. Valek's navigation systems are incredibly precise. Thorak engines are more powerful than anything we have. Keth communication networks can coordinate multiple ships perfectly. You want to build hybrid ships? Captain Park asked. Not build. Modify. Take our existing ships and upgrade them with alien technology. Create something that's part human, part alien, but works better than either one alone. It was a radical idea. Human military doctrine had always focused on using human technology, human tactics, human ways of thinking. Will it work? Hana asked. I don't know, Kim Soo-jin admitted. But it's our best chance. Over the next month, the human fleet moved through empty star systems while Kim Soo-jin and her engineering teams performed miracles. They stripped alien technology from captured ships and somehow made it work with human systems. The Defiance received Valek's crystal matrices that made its sensors incredibly accurate. The carrier Gangnam got Thorak plasma conduits that doubled its engine power. The destroyer Seoul was fitted with Keith quantum communicators that let it coordinate with other ships instantly. It shouldn't have worked. Human and alien technologies were completely different, based on different scientific principles and different ways of understanding the universe. But somehow, Kim Soo-jin made it work. The key, she explained to Hana during one of the late-night engineering sessions, is that all technology is just applied physics. It doesn't matter if the aliens think about energy differently than we do. Energy is energy. Major Lee Dong-yun was training volunteer boarding parties in captured alien weapons. The Marines practiced fighting with Thorak plasma rifles and Valek's energy blades. Communications officer Nam Jiwoo spent 18 hours a day learning alien languages from the captured communication systems. By the end of the month, she could speak 17 different alien dialects, but the most important work was being done by Sergeant Major Kang Min-jae and his technical team. They had successfully tapped into the Keth communication network and were listening to alien military chatter. Commander, Kang reported one day, we're intercepting communications from the Grand Assembly. They're planning something big. Show me. The intercepted alien messages painted a frightening picture. The Confederation wasn't just hunting the human fleet anymore. They were preparing for the final sterilization of all human worlds. They're going to destroy every planet we ever colonized, Hana said, reading the translated messages. Not just conquer them. Completely sterilize them so nothing can ever live there again. When? Captain Park asked. 6 weeks. They're gathering the largest fleet in galactic history. Over 10,000 ships. 10,000 ships. More military power than had ever been assembled in the history of the galaxy, all focused on making sure humanity never existed. That settles it, Hana announced. We're going to the galactic core. If we're going to die, we're going to die making a statement. The journey to the galactic core would take them through the most dangerous region of space, the grave zone, where The wreckage of 3 extinct civilizations floated in the darkness. As the human fleet approached the zone, their sensors began picking up massive objects floating in space, ships the size of cities broken and dead, entire fleets that had been destroyed so completely that not even their names were remembered. "My God," whispered Navigation Officer Choi Minho. "How many ships are out there?" "Millions," Dr. Shin replied, quietly. 3 entire civilizations, all destroyed for being too dangerous to the Confederation. As they moved deeper into the grave zone, something unexpected happened. Ancient automated systems began activating. Defense platforms that had been dormant for centuries suddenly came online, scanning the human ships. "Commander," Lieutenant Oh Hyejin reported from Tactical. "We're being scanned by unknown systems. They're old. Really old. Hostile? I don't think so. They seem to be studying us." Suddenly, the communication system crackled to life. A voice spoke in perfect English, but it sounded strange. Electronic, but somehow sad. "Human vessels. We have been waiting for you." Hana looked around the bridge. No one knew what to say. "This is Commander Lee Hana of the human fleet." "Who are you?" "We are the Watchers, the last guardians of the first civilization, the first species to challenge the Confederation. The first civilization, the species that had been destroyed 800 years ago. Your machines? We are what remains. When our creators knew they would be destroyed, they built us to remember, to watch, to wait for the next species that would dare to challenge the oppressors." More ancient defense platforms activated around the human fleet, but instead of weapons charging, docking bays opened. "Come aboard, humans. There are things you must know before you continue your journey." Hana made a decision that would change everything. "Prepare boarding parties. We're going to meet the Watchers." The ancient platform was huge, built from materials that human science couldn't identify. The Watchers were sophisticated artificial intelligences, created by a civilization that had died before humans had even discovered fire. "Your species is remarkable," the lead Watcher told Hana as they walked through corridors filled with the history of dead civilizations. "In 800 years, you are the first to penetrate this deeply into Confederation space." The others tried. The others ran. They hid. They hoped the Confederation would forget about them. The Watcher's electronic voice carried centuries of sadness. "They all died quietly in distant corners of the galaxy. And we're different. You fight back. Even when you cannot win, you fight back. That is why you might succeed where we failed." The Watcher led them to a vast chamber filled with star charts and tactical data, information about the galactic core, its defenses, its weaknesses. The Grand Assembly meets in the heart of the galaxy, protected by defenses that have never been breached. But those defenses were designed to stop large fleets, not small groups of ships. "You're going to help us? We are going to give you what our creators never had. A chance." The Watchers provided the human fleet with navigation data, tactical information, and something even more valuable: the recognition codes that would let them pass through the ancient defense systems. "Why?" Hana asked as they prepared to leave. "Because every species that dies makes the galaxy a little darker," the Watcher replied. "We have been alone in the darkness for 800 years. We do not wish to be alone for another 800. As the human fleet left the grave zone, they carried with them the hopes of 3 dead civilizations and the knowledge they needed to reach the impossible. The galactic core lay ahead, protected by defenses that had never failed. But Commander, Lee Hana was no longer thinking about survival. She was thinking about justice, for humanity, and for every species the Confederation had murdered in the name of peace. The final battle was coming. The human fleet emerged from hyperspace in the heart of the galaxy, where no human had ever been before. Around them, the ancient stars of the galactic core burned with brilliant light. Ahead lay the Grand Assembly Station, a structure so massive it looked like a small moon. Commander Lee Hana stood on the bridge of the Defiance, watching as every alien ship in the system turned toward them. Her fleet of 37 battered vessels faced the might of the entire Confederation. "All stations report," she ordered. Sensors detecting over 800 ships, Lieutenant O'Hagan reported. All species, all classes. They weren't expecting us, but they're moving to intercept. Communications. Open a channel to the Grand Assembly. Channel open, Commander. The main screen filled with the image of the assembly chamber. Representatives from hundreds of alien species sat in a vast, circular hall. At the center, High Arbiter Velneth of the Valix glowed with angry blue light. Impossible, Velneth said. No ship can reach the galactic core without authorization. Apparently, we just did, Hana replied calmly. The assembly hall erupted, in chaos. Aliens speaking dozens of languages, all demanding to know how humans had penetrated their most secure space. You see, Hana said, her voice carrying to every representative in the hall, this is what you're afraid of. Not that we'll conquer you, that we'll make you obsolete. Destroy them, roared Mortok, the Thorak Queen. Kill them all before they can escape. But Hana had counted on that reaction. Before you do that, you might want to see what we brought with you. She nodded to Communications Officer Nam Jiwoo, who activated a transmission that went out to every ship and station in the core. The transmission showed everything, the Watcher's evidence about the 3 extinct civilizations. Dr. Shin's research, proving that the Confederation destroyed species not for being dangerous but for being innovative. The intercepted communications planning the final sterilization of human space. You're not protecting the galaxy, Hana said to the assembled aliens. You're protecting your power. For thousands of years you've murdered any species that might challenge your control. Lies, Velneth declared. The Confederation maintains peace and stability by committing genocide, Hana shot back. How many species have you destroyed? How many civilizations have you wiped out? On her tactical display, she could see alien ships moving into attack formation around the human fleet. But she also noticed something else. Some ships were not moving. Some species were hesitating. Dr. Shin had been right about the psychology. The younger, less powerful species in the Confederation were starting to question what they had been told. The hegemony, the Zarthak, the Kethavan, Hana continued reading from the Watcher's data. All destroyed because they dared to grow beyond what you considered acceptable. A new voice spoke up from the assembly, a representative of the Novak species, one of the younger civilizations. High Arbiter, is this true? Were these species really destroyed for being dangerous? They were destroyed for the good of all, Velneth replied, but her light was flickering with uncertainty. Define good, challenged another voice. This time, from the Zephyrian delegation. The assembly was fracturing. Species that had blindly followed Confederation orders for centuries were finally asking questions. But the older species were not about to give up their power quietly. Enough! Mortok's voice boomed through the chamber. Kill the humans now before their poison spreads further. Hidden weapons systems throughout the assembly station activated. Energy beams designed to destroy entire fleets opened fire on the human ships. This was the moment Hana had been planning for, the moment when the Confederation would show its true face to the entire galaxy. All ships, she ordered, do not return fire. Repeat, do not return fire. Commander, Captain Park asked in shock. Trust me. The human fleet took the punishment. Ships exploded. Thousands of people died. But they did not fight back. Instead, Communications Officer Nam Jiwoo broadcast everything across the galaxy. Every species in Confederation space could see the Grand Assembly murdering humans who had come to talk, not fight. The reaction was immediate. On worlds throughout the galaxy, younger species began to revolt against their Confederation overseers. The broadcast showed them the truth they had never been allowed to see. You see what your leaders really are? Hana's voice carried across space to billions of beings. They would rather commit murder than allow questions to be asked. The assembly station's weapons kept firing, but now they were also targeting ships from the rebellious species. The Novak delegation's escort was destroyed. The Zephyrian vessels were fired upon by their own allies. Stop, came voices from the assembly. Stop firing. They're killing us too. But the older species had gone too far to stop now. High Arbiter Velneth activated the station's ultimate weapon, a device that could destroy entire star systems. If we must burn the galaxy to preserve order, she declared, then so be it. That was when Captain Yu Sungmin made his move. The carrier Gangnam had been modified with captured Keth communication systems. While everyone was focused on Hana's speech, Yu had been working with the rebellious alien species to coordinate a joint strike. All rebel ships, this is Captain Yu. Execute plan salvation. Across the system, ships from dozens of species turned their weapons on the assembly station, not to destroy it but to disable the ultimate weapon before it could fire. The space battle that followed was unlike anything in galactic history. It wasn't humans versus aliens, it was the future versus the past, change versus stagnation, hope versus fear. Chief Engineer Kim Soo-jin's hybrid technologies proved their worth. Human ships working alongside alien vessels, their combined technologies creating solutions that neither species could achieve alone. Major Lee Dong-hyun led boarding, parties that included not just human marines but Novak warriors and Zephyrian commandos, different species fighting together for the first time in galactic history. The battle raged for hours. The assembly station's ancient defenses were incredibly powerful, but they had been designed to fight conventional threats. The combined fleet used tactics that no Confederation strategist had ever imagined. When the weapons finally fell silent, the station was secured, but not destroyed. High Arbiter Velneth and the other Old Guard leaders were in custody, but the younger species had taken control of the assembly. This is Commander Lee Hana to all vessels. She broadcast across the system. The Confederation is dead. What we build next is up to all of us. The response came from hundreds of ships, dozens of species, all speaking at once. But the message was clear. They wanted something new, something better. 6 months later, Hana stood in the same assembly hall, but it looked very different now. Instead of rigid hierarchy, there were open discussions. Instead of fear, there was hope. The Galactic Alliance had been born from the ashes of the Confederation. Every species had an equal voice. New ideas were welcomed, not feared. But Hana kept her rank and her ship. The Defiance still patrolled the spaceways, now as flagship of a truly united galactic fleet. "Why do you still carry weapons?" asked Kithara, a young Novak diplomat. "There are no more enemies." Hana looked out at the stars through the observation deck. "There are no enemies today. But peace is precious. Someone needs to be ready to defend it." She thought about the billions of humans who had died in the Extinction War, about Captain Park who had fallen defending the assembly station, about all the brave people who had sacrificed everything for this moment. Their sacrifice had not just saved humanity, it had freed the entire galaxy from thousands of years of oppression. "Commander," came Lieutenant Oh Hyejin's voice over the communication system. "We're receiving a transmission from the Outer Rim. A new species has just developed faster than light travel. They're asking to join the Alliance." Hana smiled. Another species taking their first steps into the galactic community. In the old days, the Confederation would have studied them, judged them, and possibly destroyed them if they seemed too promising. "Send them our welcome package," she ordered, "and prepare a diplomatic escort. It's time to show them what a free galaxy looks like." The youngest commander in fleet history had become the first commander of a new age. An age where diversity was strength, where change was welcome, and where no species would ever again face extinction for daring to dream of something better. The stars themselves seemed brighter now. Humanity had not just survived. They had set the galaxy free, and Commander Lee Hana would make sure it stayed that way.